Okay, next question. Andy, what is the difference between ER and UR? I ended up getting whacked with a big bill. I like that word, whacked. I use that word. And tell me what I did wrong. Great question. I love these questions. They're just so targeted. The answer is that UR is urgent care, ER is emergency room. A big difference there. You know, I always frown on running to the emergency room, whether it's my own family or my customers. I get calls. I'm on call 24/7 with my clients, it seems, and which is what I want. And you know, they'll call me from home. My baby's sick. What should I do? You know, should I go to the emergency room? And I tell them, well, tell me what's cooking. And I say, no, 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 no. Go to the urgent care. You have a copay on the urgent care. You don't need to go to the emergency room. The emergency room is going to be applied to your deductible, and that's what happened here, and that's why you got whacked, is because it was the emergency room. Emergency room, unless you're on an HMO and there's a copay, you're going to get whacked. The UR, again, is the urgent care. Now, make sure that you stay in network. Make sure, and this applies to anything and everything you do, and I really pound this point home with my clients, is make sure you ask the question. Don't assume. Even if they take your insurance card, don't assume. Make them say to you, yes, we take this insurance. I've seen it happen where they've taken the insurance card from my clients. Nothing gets me more upset than this one. I had one client where they took her insurance card over 2 days. She went from station to station. She happened to go to the only hospital at that time that didn't take this particular insurance. She ended up running a humongous bill, and what happens is, and I was upset, because here they took her, the least they could have done is somewhere in one of those cubicles say, oh, by the way, we don't take this particular insurance. And it was the only hospital in this town at that time that didn't take it. And she went there because it was down the street. She had fainted. Her daughter thought she could have had a stroke. Can't blame her for doing that. The good news is I appealed it and we won. What happened was she was charged the out-of-network rate. Very expensive. You still get the contracted rate, but the deductible is double. Her bill was about $7,500. We appealed it, put together a very strong letter. You know, if that couldn't be treated as an emergency, what could? In an emergency, most insurance companies, a true emergency, will see it as a contracted rate. I positioned the letter as she fainted. What was her daughter to do? Take her to a hospital further away? Anyway, they meet, just so you know, insurance companies do meet usually weekly. It's called an appeals committee, and in that meeting we won. It took a few months. I was a hero with the customer, obviously, and that made me happy. And, you know, I love doing that for my clients. I treat my clients like their family. I do for them as I would do for my wife and children. I know no other way, and I want you to find a broker who operates like that, that will be there for you in the pinch that you need them. That's a good broker. Next, PA. What does that mean? And it was mentioned to me on the phone. I didn't understand it. I can't get my medication approved, and they keep saying to me, PA. This is the first question we've gotten from the great state of Maine. I've seen questions from all over the country, but I've never had one from Bangor, Maine, and welcome Bangor, Maine. So anyway, with that said, that is called prior authorization. And it's not that they don't want to approve your drug at the pharmacy. There are systems in place. These systems are in place because the insurance company has to know, is there a cheaper drug? Is this the necessary drug based on what's going on? So it's on occasion, it's not every drug. It's not that they're not going to cover it, but what it means is what it means. Prior authorization, so therefore there's a system. Again, if you have a good broker, they can handle it. If not, you know, you'll have to make that phone call. You'll have to go over it, find out what the correct number is to call in Bangor, Maine for your insurance, and ask them. You know, we need prior authorization. The pharmacist is not going to do it. And in the end, ultimately, it's the doctor. The doctor is going to have to call. They have a system. That's their responsibility. They'll explain that this is the right drug for you because the other drug, the generic drug, makes you sick. Because ultimately, the insurance company wants you to, they're going to treat you. They're going to approve it. And if they didn't have these systems in place, think about it. The premiums would be that much higher. And they're reasonable anyway. So what we don't want, the last thing we want, And that's why I embrace systems in place to help keep the premiums down. So there's nothing wrong. So when my clients come to me and say, hey, they didn't cover this, I'm so upset, I say, hey, look, the other thing on prior authorization is when I get a customer calling me, a client, and they say to me, Andy, I'm going in for a procedure next week. In fact, I have a good client going in to have her gallbladder removed on Monday. My first question is always, did you get the prior authorization? And most of the time they say yes. Every once in a while they say, no, what the heck is that? And I say, you're not doing anything until you make sure the insurance company has agreed to that procedure. The next thing you know, if you don't do that, you're going to get billed, they're going to do the thing, and without the PA, we run the risk of something coming up. I want that prior authorization in place across the board. Do the extra step. Anyway, it's time to cut to another break. 60 seconds. We'll be right back. Thank you.